All right, everyone. My name is Mr. Douglas, and class is in session. No, not that class. Ugh, just cue the titles. Hello, everyone. Douglas here, and welcome to my Doctor Who review. And today I will be reviewing School Reunion. This story is the first story to be written by Toby Whithouse, and he would be a writer in the Stephen Moffat era in Doctor Who. This story is also the first story to bring back two companions from the classic series. This story brings back Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith and John Leeson as K9. I remember when I heard Sarah Jane and K9 were coming back, and this was a big deal for me, including all the fans. Our cold open scene begins in a high school, and we see Mr. Finch, played by Anthony Head. That's right, Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans. And interesting part about the school crest that it is blue and red. And those were my high school colors. We see Mr. Finch notices a girl, and we see Mr. Finch invites her into his office, and he transforms into an alien monster. Bell rings, and we see the students getting ready for class. And who walks into the classroom? The 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant. Our opening scene begins with the Doctor teaching physics. We see Milo answers the Doctor's questions, and we see that Milo is super smart. And you might be wondering, how is he that smart? We see Rose, played by Billie Piper, and she is not happy with her school job as lunch lady. Ooh, tough luck. We see that the lunch ladies have an oil drum. We hear Rose's phone goes off, and it's Mickey, played by Noel Clark, and we find out that 3 months ago there was massive UFO activity. We find out he can't get the pictures because of Portwood. We also find out from Rose that 3 months ago, turns out all the kitchen staff were replaced. I love Mickey's line when he says, "That's the last thing I do, because every time I see you, an emergency just gets in the way." And we see the oil drum spills on the lunch lady, and way to go, Mickey, you jinxed it. We see the oil is burning the lunch lady. We see one of the teachers is in his class, and it is in session, and we see a green cube. We see Mr. Finch is talking to Sarah Jane Smith. We find out from one of the teachers that Finch arrived 3 months ago. Next day, half the staff got the flu. Finch replaced them all. That sounds suspicious. We find out the teacher the Doctor replaced won the lottery, and she never plays the lottery. We see the Doctor sees Sarah Jane for the first time in years. I love how the Doctor uses John Smith and Sarah Jane doesn't know who it is yet. I love the Doctor's line when he says, "Oh, good for you, Sarah Jane Smith." And I think it's David Tennant's inner fanboy because he grew up watching Sarah Jane. We hear the school bell rings, and we see Kenny, played by Joe Pickley, and he hears something, and we see our monster, and he transforms into the teacher. We see the high school is empty and it's nighttime, and we see Sarah Jane is sneaking into the school. We see the Doctor, Rose, and Mickey are also sneaking into the school. I love Rose's line when she says, "Oh, it's weird seeing school at night. It just feels wrong." Another good line from Rose when she says, "When I was a kid, I used to think all the teachers slept in school. And funny enough, I had that exact same theory as a kid. We see the Doctor, Rose, and Mickey split up. We see the Doctor heal something, including Sarah Jane and Rose. We see Sarah Jane hides in a closet, and she is surprised to see what is in front of her, the TARDIS. We see Sarah Jane walks backwards out of the closet, and she is greeted by the Doctor. We see the Doctor and Sarah Jane hear Mickey scream. We see Rose meet Sarah Jane. We find out the school has vacuum-packed rats. I love Mickey's line when he says, "Oh, mate, the missus in the X. Welcome to every man's worst nightmare." We see the Doctor goes into Mr. Finch's office, and I love how they address about teachers sleeping in the school, and apparently they do. And a freaky shot I like when we see them sleep upside down like bats. We see Sarah Jane has something to show to the Doctor, and it's K9! And K9 and Company is canon. We see someone is watching the Doctor and his friends. We are at a restaurant, and the Doctor is trying to fix K9. We see Rose and Mickey are talking. We see Mr. Finch is watching along with the monster. The last time we saw Sarah Jane was really in the Five Doctors, but she says the last time she saw the Doctor was in the Hand of Fear. So maybe wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. I love how Sarah Jane mentions the Doctor's mistake in the Hand of Fear, that he didn't drop her off at Croydon, it was Aberdeen. We see K9 is reactivated. We see K9 is scanning the oil, and we find out the aliens are Quillitanes. We find out from the Doctor that the Quillitanes are doing something to the kids. I love how Mickey realizes that he is the Tin Dog, and that is a great moment. I love the Doctor's line when he says, "I don't age, I regenerate, but humans decay, you wither, and you die." Imagine watching that happen to someone that you can spend the rest of your life with me, but I can't spend the rest of mine with you. I have to live on. Alone. That's the curse of the Time Lords. I realize when the Doctor says that he doesn't age, but he does, and wait until we reach to the time of the Doctor. We see Mr. Finch overhears that the Doctor is a Time Lord. And we see that Quillitane flies into the full moon. We hear the school bell ring. We see a pair of shoes, and we see Mr. Finch, and he sees the Doctor, and the Doctor sees Mr. Finch. We see the Doctor is in the swimming pool, and he is talking to Mr. Finch. We find out Mr. Finch's real name is Brother Lassar. We see the Doctor is trying to find out Mr. Finch's plan. The Doctor doesn't know the plan yet. I love the Doctor's line when he says, "If I don't like it, then it will stop." I love Rose and Sarah Jane's argument and referencing other stories from the classic series. I love how Rose and Sarah Jane talk about the Doctor, and the Doctor doesn't know what they are talking about. We see Mr. Finch and his gang kill the teachers. We see Mr. Finch seals the school, and the program is on. We see Kenny is trying to get out, and we see Mickey sees him. We see Mickey is trying to activate K9, and we see K9 is back online. I love K9's line when he says, "We are in a car," and Mickey realizes that he can get into the school with the car. We find out from the Doctor that the program is the stasis paradigm. They are trying to crack it. We find out from the Doctor, crack that equation, and you've got control of the building blocks of the universe. Time and space and matter. yours to control. We also find out that the learning power is from the oil. We see Mr. Finch is trying to get the Doctor to join, and I loved Sarah Jane's line when she says, "No, the universe has to move forward. Pain and loss, they define us as much happiness or love, whether it's a world or a relationship. Every time has its time, and everything ends." I will say that is so true, what Sarah Jane said. We see the Doctor grabs a chair and throws it at the board. We see Mickey is driving a car, and he runs it into the school. We see the Quillitanes are going after the Doctor and his friends. We see K9 shoots a Quillitane, and K9 fights the Quillitanes. We see K9's power supply is failing. We find out from the Doctor that Quillitanes can't handle the oil. We see the Quillitanes are trying to get to the Doctor and his friends, and we see Kenny pose the fire alarm. We see Mickey is trying to get the kids out of the school, and we see the Doctor and his friends are in the kitchen. We see Mickey notices the cable, and he pulls the plug, which is obvious. Just pull the plug. We find out that K9 will be trapped inside. I love the scene when the Doctor says goodbye to K9. We see the Quillitanes arrive in the kitchen. I love Mr. Finch's line when he says, "The little dog with the nasty bite. Not so powerful now, are you?" Yes, again! We see K9 shoots the oil drum, and the Quillitanes are burning. And a great last line from Mr. Finch when he says, "You bad dog." And K9 says, "Affirmative." And K9 blows up the school. We see a kid asks Kenny if he blew up the school, and he says yes. I wonder what happens the next day. We see Sarah Jane is walking to the TARDIS, and this is the first time she is inside the new TARDIS. We see the Doctor offer Sarah Jane to come, but she declines. We see Mickey wants to come with the Doctor. We see the Doctor and Sarah Jane are outside of the TARDIS, and we see the Doctor says goodbye to Sarah Jane. I love the Doctor's line when he says, "Goodbye, my Sarah Jane." We see the Doctor goes into the TARDIS, and it takes off, and we see K9 is alive. We find out K9 got rebuilt, and we see Sarah Jane and K9 walk off, and that is a beautiful ending. I will say it is a classic, and I had a lot of great memories with this story. It was great to see Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane again, including John Leeson as K9. If you saw a picture of my high school, that is my real high school, Davenport Central High School. I went to that school, so maybe you might remember me because I graduated in the class of 2015. I never had alien monsters in my high school. Oh, did I? I'm just joking. Another thing I need to say, next year in 2007, there will be a Doctor Who spin-off called The Sarah Jane Adventures. And I have seen that show before as a kid, and maybe I will review it at some point. I will say, I do like Rose and Sarah Jane together, and they have great chemistry. And I do like Anthony Head as the villain, and he is intimidating. The script by Toby Whithouse is amazing, and the direction by James Hawes is amazing, and I will give School Reunion a 10 out of 10. So that is my review of School Reunion. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time for my review of The Girl in the Fireplace. And Stephen Moffat is back. And also, class dismissed.